Hey guys, in this video we're going to be going through my top 5 advanced tips for improving your runs in absolute difficulty. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I have over 500 hours in Space Marine 2 and have solo cleared absolute difficulty on every class as well as some true solo absolute completions. I have some of my solo runs posted on the channel if you want to check them out. Tip 1, mindset. First of all, I would say if you want to play the game at the highest difficulty, it's less about the power fantasy of being a Space Marine and more about enjoying overcoming challenges and wanting to always learn and improve. It's okay to die and fail runs because that's all part of the process of getting better. You learn the most when you fail, and on that note, when you die, just make sure to take a few seconds and review in your head why you died and what you could have done to avoid that death. Doing that has helped me get over some difficult humps in my solo runs. Tip 2, stay alive, play smart. Don't get greedy, prioritize not taking damage over dealing damage. The name of the game in absolute difficulty is not taking damage. That's the key to success. Something that has helped me improve my runs is trying to think a step ahead and how I can avoid every bit of possible damage. You can always improve more at this, but I'll show you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. In this clip, you'll see that I open up a gun strike on the Ravener, and when I was a less experienced player, I would have immediately taken the gunstrike opportunity to try to kill the Ravener ASAP. However, as you can see here, the Biovore ends up attacking me while I would have been in the gunstrike animation, and that may have started a stun combo string where the Biovore and Ravener get 3 or 4 more attacks on me while I'm semi-stunned from the knockback, and I could have ended up dying, but instead I wait, don't take the gunstrike, and parry the Biovore's attack, and then gunstrike the Ravener when I know I'm safe. Another example of this is here in this clip, where maybe in the past I'd stay at range and try to pot shot at the Tyranid spike shooter or charge up a heavy attack and just try to out DPS him, but now I weave side to side as I approach him and I respect his damage and dodge every single one of his shots so he doesn't get any damage on. One example of what not to do would be here in this clip where it's me solo versus a Ravener and a Lictor. I fend off their first double attack and gunstrike the Ravener, but then I get too focused in on eliminating the Ravener, so as I'm shooting him more after the gunstrike, the Lictor attacks me from the back and I end up taking massive damage. The correct thing to do would have been after gunstriking the Ravener to swivel the camera and look for the Lictor, because you can actually hear him in the background winding up with an attacking noise, so I should have known to be on the defensive. And one more example in this section and then we'll move on. So here in this clip, I'm getting attacked by a double Lictor, double Sword Warrior, and a Whip Warrior, and I parry the Whip Warrior and then I instantly go for the gunstrike without thinking, and I get hit by the double Sword Warrior, stunned, and then finished off by the Lictor. The right thing to do would have been to wait a sec on the gunstrike and parry the double Sword Warrior first. Absolute difficulty can be a game of attrition, and you can end up slowly dying because your health getting whittled down from one encounter to the next, so every bit of damage you can avoid really adds up, and this is one of the most important tips that you can focus on, is just try to take less damage. Be efficient, sneak in damage where you can. A big part of being able to complete absolute difficulty is clearing enemies out quickly and efficiently so that they, 1, don't have as much of a chance to damage you, and 2, you're able to move on to a new target or continue towards the finish line. Not getting unnecessarily damaged and not having more waves than necessary spawn on you can really help you make it to the end of a mission, so you'll want to learn as many tricks as possible to quickly get the enemies cleared out. A few little efficiency tricks I've learned are sneaking in damage during parry sequences. In this clip showing, you'll see the Tyranid Whip Warrior is doing his standard 2-part whip attack where you have to parry twice. I shoot him while waiting for the correct time time to hit parry to get a little extra damage in, and it ends up killing him before he gets the second attack off. In this next clip, a Ravener is doing his 3-part attack on me, and I continue shooting him in between parries. Even though this may seem insignificant, small little boosts like this start to add up when you combine it with other things that you do well, and overall that's what makes the difference between good players and less experienced players. Another example of being efficient is not sitting on class ability charges like the Assault's ground pound. What's worked well for me is using the second charge quickly when it comes up and taking out the highest priority target, and save the other charge for emergencies like making sure I interrupt reinforcement calls or repositioning if I get in a really bad spot. This same concept applies to the Vanguard with his hook shot and classes that regen grenades quickly. Also, if your armor's topped off, you don't need to take every single execute. Sometimes you can finish off an enemy faster with just a couple quick headshots. Tip 4, positional and situational awareness. While it's super fun to charge headfirst into the enemy and never take a single step backward, it can often get you killed in absolute difficulty. It's important to always be mindful of your positioning and don't back yourself into walls or get surrounded. Another key thing is to focus on trying to make sure you have a path to retreat if necessary, and bonus points if you can work your way backward while still looking forward at the enemy if needed. An example of poor situational awareness would be in this sniper clip. I double roll as the Ravener is popping out of the ground, and it gets me killed because I'm recovering from the second roll animation and I'm locked in, so I can't parry his attacks, but I'm no longer in the iframe of the dodge roll. If I know there's a Ravener who may be popping out of the ground soon, I shouldn't be committing to any actions that have a long recovery animation, because it could get me stuck in his grab attack, or he can just walk up and hit me with one of his regular fast attacks. Anything that you can dodge with a quick backstep is safest, so if there are a lot of enemies that can grab you around, make sure you're playing smart and safe. The classes that have the 2-part dodge like Assault, Vanguard, and Bulwark should try to do the first dodge most of the time, as the recovery window for that dodge is very small and much safer. An example of good situational awareness is here in this clip where I'm getting attacked by a Zoanthrope and a Biovore. I dodge the Zoanthrope shot and position myself in the one safe spot that's available so I can focus on getting the Biovore to jump at me with his blue circle attack. Once the Biovore jumps at me, I know it'll open him up for a gun strike and I can quickly take him out. I also recognize that the Spore Mines are a top priority since they can kill you very quickly, so I take out as many as I can while I'm waiting for the Biovore to jump at me. The key thing here is that I recognize it's going to be a lot easier if I deal with these enemies separately, so I use the pillar to separate myself from the Zoanthrope while I deal with the Biovore. Tip 5, mechanics and skill. Having good mechanics is one of the main things that most really good players have in common. Things like headshots, movement, camera positioning, weapon techs like chainsword skip or reload canceling, and perfect parrying. Some of these things can really only be improved with more hours in the game, but there are some things you can do to get better at some of these more quickly. One thing that helped me improve my parrying is to have a mindset that I'm going to learn to parry everything, even if it gets me killed a couple times. Your natural instinct is to run away from the Carnifex and keep him at a distance, but if you take time to learn to fight him in close quarters, you may just survive that one encounter where he backs you into a corner. Another thing that's helped me with my headshots, and this is something pro FPS players do, is learning to anticipate movement. Instead of thinking about getting the crosshair onto the enemy's head, think about getting the crosshair on where the enemy's head is going to be. Once you have a lot of hours in the game, you recognize enemy movement patterns and you can anticipate their movements and hit those headshots a lot easier. Hitting headshots is so important in this game because the damage multiplier on headshots is insane. It takes 3 times as many body shots to kill stuff than headshots. And in absolute difficulty, it just takes way too long to kill stuff if if you're not hitting those headshots. Another thing you can do is use your movement to aim. You don't always need to aim with just the mouse or just the aim stick. Once you have your crosshair in place, you can use the movement keys or movement stick to slightly drag the crosshair one way or another, which is much easier than doing it with the aiming stick. As you can see in this clip, I'm using my movement keys to move my character so that the crosshair easily stays on the spike shooter's head. And in this clip, I'm slightly anticipating where the enemy's head is going to be and leading him so I can hit almost all the headshots while he's still moving. Just always try to keep in mind how you can do better at these things and you'll get better over time. None of this happens overnight, so just have fun with playing and keep putting those hours in. Alright guys, that's it for my advanced tips. I know some of you guys that watch the channel have an insane amount of hours in the game, so put your favorite advanced tips down in the comments. If you found any of these tips useful, drop a like on the video for me, and if you guys have been enjoying my content, consider subscribing. It really does help the channel. If you guys haven't seen any of the new content coming to the game in patch 7.0 on April 15th and you want to check it out, check out this video where I tested out patch 7.0 in the public test server and I give my thoughts about it after 20 hours of gameplay, which should be popping up right about now.